Welcome back to Never Don't Ask with me, John Martin. We are celebrating Railway 200 by counting down 200 landmarks of rail transport in the UK. We have reached number 41, having just seen the Thames Tunnel being opened. At the end of our last episode, we will stay in 1843 for the 24th of the 6th, 1843, when the Water Witch, a paddle steamer, set sail from Folkestone to Boulogne. It was chartered by the South Eastern Railway to prove their concept that a day trip from London to France was possible. In 1844, the Manchester Victoria station opened. The Manchester and Leeds Railway wanted a more central station than its Oldham Road terminus, so acquired land on Hunt's Bank to build the station, with the Liverpool and Manchester Railway moving in on the 4th of May. There was now a rail link from Liverpool through to Leeds, calling at central Manchester. Victoria, owned by the Manchester and Leeds successor company, the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway, became one of the largest and busiest stations in the country. As a hub of an intensely worked network, it had 17 platforms and an overhead system for carrying parcels and newspapers. The 1st of the 5th, 1847, saw the opening of Bricklayers Arms Station by the South Eastern Railway. While the terminal was not long-lived, it was built to force the London and Greenwich Railway to give the South Eastern better terms on London Bridge Station. The junction between Bricklayers Arms Branch and the main line was the first to be controlled by a signal box. 16th of the 7th, 1846, was the formation of the London and North Western Railway through the merger of the Grand Junction Railway, the London and Birmingham Railway and the Manchester and Birmingham Railway. Just to avoid confusion, the Manchester and Birmingham Railway didn't go to Birmingham, it only went between Manchester and Crewe. 13th of the 9th, 1847 was the first passenger service on the South Devon Railway, engineered by Brunel. This was an atmospheric railway that used differences in air pressure to propel trains. The system suffered from many issues and was abandoned within a year, reverting to normal steam power. 17th of the 10th, 1847 was a week of terror in the financial markets that saw money drop out of the railways. A few years earlier, there were over 200 separate bills before Parliament for new railway lines, with many middle-class families investing all their savings in them. Faced with collapse, the investors in the new companies had to choose between accepting an undervalued offer from a large company or losing everything. The Railway Mania bubble was over. 15th of the 11th, 1847. One of the most singular characters in locomotive design was John Chester Craven. Appointed as the locomotive superintendent of the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway, a post he held for over 20 years. While he expanded Brighton works and his locomotives both reliable and good performers, he eschewed standardisation, building individual locomotives for individual roles. So when he was forced out, there were over 72 different classes of locomotive on the roster. As the locomotive superintendent, he was also in charge of running his engines and was authoritarian over his hold on the crews. I can only find one source on this one. This is the 18th of the 2nd, 1848. The UK government of Lord John Russell made their budget speech. It was reported in the newspapers. W.H. Smith's, then a 20-year-old company, chartered a train running from London Euston via Rugby, York, Newcastle, Edinburgh. It arrived in Glasgow 10.5 hours later. A massive feat considering that neither the Tyne nor the Tweed bridges had been built at the time. So kind of a bit dubious on this one, but I included it anyway. Keeping with the W.H. Smiths, in November 1848, the first W.H. Smith's bookstall opened up at Euston Station. The company recognised that reading was far easier on a train than a stagecoach, and while stations like Euston had retired or disabled railway workers selling soiled or disreputable publications, they were moved out by the more professional products that W.H. Smith's was selling. 17th of the 5th, 1849, George Hudson resigns from the York and North Midland to avoid being sacked. It turned out the massive shareholder dividends that the company paid out were not from profits. His web of control of various companies unravelled as his financials were revealed. He continued in public life as a Tory politician. However, he was jailed in 1865 and again in 1866 for his debts. In July 1849, the Great Western started giving its workers a free day tickets for summer excursions. This grew out into Trip Week, where the company put on free trains for workers and families. In a matter of a few hours, 26,000 people boarded trains at Swindon Works and were taken to holiday destinations for Trip Week. Of course, the Great Western didn't offer holiday pay, but it was a chance to escape for a week. 1850, James Samuel of the Eastern Counties Railway built a couple of continuous expansion locomotives that were an early form of steam compounding, reusing steam for greater efficiency. The 10th of the 7th, 1854, the Railways and Canal Act of 1854, which enforced the railway's role as a common carrier, meaning they had to transport all the goods offered to them. This would later hinder them in competition with road traffic. In October 1855, Henry Bessemer patented a cost-effective way for making steel. A wrought iron rail lasted about 6 months, but a Bessemer steel rail laid by Midland Railway near Derby lasted well into the 1870s. 1st of September 1858, Captain Mark Huish resigns from the London and North Western, where he was general manager. He was taking a ruthless approach to the competitors, often bullying other companies to increase the London North Western's influence, a detriment to its and his own reputation. Start of 1861, Price Jones released the first mail order catalogue in the world. His business, selling flannel materials, was based next to a railway in Newtown, Wales, and he used the railways to dispatch his goods across the country. On 18th of the 5th, 1862, the first Special Scots Express had simultaneous 10 a.m. departures from Edinburgh Waverley and London King's Cross. This was a 10.5-hour service with a lunch at York. In 1924, this train would officially take the name that it was already known by, the Flying Scotsman. 10th of the 1st, 1863, the opening of the Metropolitan Railway, the world's first underground railway, which linked Paddington Station with central London, allowing passengers a much quicker journey across the crowded surface streets. As a mark of the success that across the world, mass transit railways are called metros. Charles Pearson, also the solicitor of the City of London, whose idea it was, didn't live to see his ideas in motion. The 11th of November, 1866, the Talyllyn Railway opened to passengers, one of the great little railways of Wales. The locomotives of this inspired the narrow gauge locomotives on the Skarloey Railway in Reverend Awdry's railway series. And number 60, the Westinghouse brake was patented in America in the 13th of the 4th, 1869, and this was refitted to some UK trains. It used high pressure air to keep the brakes off, so that if there was a fault, such as a break in the system, the brakes would automatically engage, making it much safer than any other system. Still, a lot of companies didn't want to pay for this. Noticeably, the London North Western Railway would stick for a long time with a dangerous web chain brake. And there we are, another 20 rail landmarks from the UK. Is there one that I've missed out so far? What do you think? Please like, subscribe, ring that bell to be notified of the next thing that I publish, which will be tomorrow, as I still count down the rail landmarks celebrating 200 years-ish of railways in the UK.